Starting. And we're live. Hey guys, welcome to the Ripple Effect. I'm here with Karen Sheets and Joe. Tonight we're going to be discussing, I guess, me. That was the topic choice. So here we go. Let's see what we can get into. Why don't you guys go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself? Karen, you go first.
I am a mother of three. Living in Ohio for almost 35 years, and I had a epiphany when Trump came into the presidency. I had a lot of friends just lose it, totally lose it. And so the epiphany was I had a Facebook page with cousins who were Trump supporters and Democrat supporters. So I loved both of them. So the only way I could try to understand my cousins was just totally shut my page down and try to go find the truth of why they were feeling this way. Because just to keep spreading all that like hate and chaos does no one any good. So I started my journey towards politics. I met JoJo, I met Stevie, I met Paula,
and Noah. Lots of people. Portia.
I met lots of people that were on the same path that I was. So it's just been trying to reach out and trying to learn about the politics, trying to go forward, because I cannot stand that I'm going to be helpless or leave this world this way after I'm gone. I have this is for my whole family, not just my immediate family. This is for my whole family because I love them all, regardless if they're Trump supporters.
Yeah, we gotta love the Trump supporters anyways. You know, we gotta be.
I know.
Our whole family.
I know. But I've been living in Ohio, and I've joined the Southwestern Progressive Movement. I have met some really nice people there. I've had some guidance. I'm learning. And the one thing that I've always been good at is talking, which since I've always worked customer service, it comes natural.
Right.
Because I can relate to people. I can talk to them, try to understand where they're coming from. And I like taking pictures, which has helped me. Yeah.
Okay.
Part-time, you know.
Hobby?
Yeah. I've always had a hobby to do.
Okay.
Because my mind is always going. You know, if I'm not doing that, I'm doing something else, you know, to keep up with my creativity.
That's good for you, though. That is really good to take some time and nurture that side of you.
Yeah.
Keeps you balanced.
It does. It does, because when I think negative things or going through negative experiences, this is where I go to instead of expounding, you know, the chaos and the hate and just being trapped by it.
Yeah.
I have my avenue.
I think a lot of us did what you did. I think how you came to it, that's how a lot of people came to it. They woke up during this election. This was a very different election.
Yeah. I never thought I would get involved in politics. I never thought, but I took that first step, and I found people who are in the same like mind of me.
Yeah.
And you know, being a mother, you want to help. You want to make things better.
My biggest fear is what kind of place am I going to leave behind for my kids? You know, I have a son with autism, and I think to myself all the time, what is life going to be like for him when I'm not around to protect him anymore? So, I mean, I totally understand the aspect of being a mom and worrying about that and wanting to change the world. And
Exactly.
this is why I'm
Exactly.
doing what I'm doing. You know, that's the ripple effect. This is what I'm trying to do, is to inspire people to do better, want better.
And what better way of doing it is setting an example for your children.
Absolutely. It starts at home. It always starts at home. It's always going to start at home. Every habit they have, everything that they do, that they hold with them, that they carry through life, it starts at home. So yeah, of course, you need to raise your children in a way to be respectful of our planet and other people.
You do. I mean,
but they also need to be raised to not be whiny little babies too, because I notice that a lot now. A lot of people, they can't handle the truth, and that's preventing us from progressing forward.
No, I was always raised to question everything.
That's good. That's really
good. And that is something I've passed on to my children.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they telling you this? What is their agenda behind it? It's not like they're telling you not to jump off the cliff, because you actually know not to jump off the cliff. But there's always something behind why they're not telling you to do that or believe that.
See, I just came to that way of thinking probably 8, 9 years ago. So before that, it was a question nothing.
I've always had that, and people have always been aggravated at me because the first thing I would say is, why?
I mean, I asked why once and I regretted it very badly. But what about you, Joe? You have kids too, right?
Yeah, I have 3 kids as well. I've never been out of Akron, Ohio. All my kids are doing well.
Yes, you've been to Deer Creek.
Yeah. I like to say that, but it's not quite true, but it's almost true. I born very conservative, very naturally conservative. I was a huge Ronald Reagan fan. I still care about him. But
a Reagan man, huh?
Yeah, I was definitely a Reagan man. I kind of went into the woods when Clinton got elected, and then kind of came out of the woods when Bernie brought me out. I second guessed my politics and my religion, but not humanity. I don't think I've really changed that much. I just really want to vote for a good person, good guy, caring.
I think that's what we all want, ultimately.
Yeah, but I do agree with most of the progressive things, even though I still consider myself a conservative, even though I follow and believe in progressive issues.
I just,
for some reason I can't. I think it's that religion inside me that I think Democrats are kind of like, I don't know.
Democrats are all Democrats are, and if you this should be self-evident. I think they're just Republicans for gay marriage and abortion. Everything else, the entire agenda, is the exact same as Republicans. So I would say don't identify with either party. If you call yourself a progressive, you can't call yourself a Democrat or a Republican, because they are not progressive people. But again, when you say progressive, what is your definition of progressive?
Myself?
Yeah, like what is your personal opinion when you think of being a progressive? What is that to you?
I guess the big thing is you want to get rid of the influence of money, and that's out of politics, and that's why I follow Bernie, and he was trying to help the young people. I'm hoping progressive means they want to do something about help the poor people, want to stop wars, and it's not just all about free medical care, which I'm a little concerned about that is occupying most of the progressive movement is the Medicare. I hope it's more just about free medical care and other issues too.
Yeah. I mean, the progressive platform is about a multitude of things, healthcare included. But I mean, that's any political platform is going to have a stance on all of our problems. So I don't know, I guess it's just where you stand on that. Where do you stand on that issue? Since you brought that up, where do you stand on universal healthcare or single payer healthcare?
I'm definitely for it. I don't want to be on the backs of working young people, though. I think they need to tax wealth.
Well, they don't really even need to tax the wealthy.
They're not getting anything. What's that?
They don't even need to tax the wealthy more. They just need to make them pay their taxes at all. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
you know,
I
they're
just don't want to
paying
give back to the
for
young
very
worker.
little.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But there's a way of doing it. I mean, we don't have to put it on the backs of young people, but they're going to be older people just like us. They can't
Mhm.
they can't escape, getting old. No one can. So they're going to run into some of the same medical problems we have when we're older. So I think the cost should be spread around. And what you kind of don't understand, the way that I figured it out, if companies don't have to enroll people in provide health care, and it was provided through single care, that would cut the cost of that would save the companies money.
Well, think about what they can do now. Think about the technology. Like they can 3D print braces.
Yeah.
Like all of the things that like the technology that we're seeing come out could lower healthcare costs dramatically. There is no reason for these things to cost so much money. There's no good explanation for why it costs so much money to get some like simple procedures done. So, they act like it would cost a lot of money, but it really wouldn't. And maybe we'd start to see the prices of the things that people need go down. I mean, look at what they did with the epinephrine pen.
Well,
I know that
also,
guy's going to jail, but still.
I think they could provide free health care for young people with not much cost. It's just older folks that the costs go up and up and up. But I see no reason not to have free health care for young people right now. It wouldn't cost much at all. And you get a big benefit since they're still
But you
young.
never hear how are we going to pay for that when they're
Well,
talking
young
about going to
people, you
war.
get a big benefit from it. Or somebody my age, you wouldn't get as big a benefit in the long term.
They only ask these questions when it involves taking care of the people, and that's what I don't understand. Like when it involves going to war or invading another country for one reason or another, whether we're going to do it with, troops on the ground or drones or something. No one ever asks how we're going to pay for that. When they want to bomb Iran and Iraq and they want to go to North Korea, no one ever says how are we going to pay for that. They just a stamp of approval, go do it, but I mean that's costing us trillions where universal health care would be billions, so
And right
it doesn't
now,
make sense to me.
I mean, when my father went to Vietnam and Korea, it
Yeah.
was not the same man when he
And
came home.
what was the care for him after he came home?
Nothing.
And that's the problem right there. They claim to care so much about the troops, and yet when they get home from these fucked up war zones that fuck their minds up, they give them almost nothing. So
They're
I think the
used for
ultimate
poster
thing
boys.
is just wake up and realize that they're just interested in making money. That's all they want. And they really don't give a shit about the rest of us in any way. So stop voting for them. Stop voting them in. They don't care about us.
I guess you just defined a
Both
progressive movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just did. Can we learn about Bella now, Karen?
Please.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. All right. I'm an open book. Ask me anything you want to see or hear or whatever.
Can you
Anything.
describe your early life?
My early life. Well, I was born in Florida, and I was in and out of foster care my whole life. I was raised by the church. Um, I didn't. Let's see. I mean, what do you want to know? What do you want me to describe? There's so much. So you got to pick. Tell me what you want to know.
How many children do you have?
2 boys, 10 and 6.
Well, I guess I wanted. Can we ask her like how did you?
Yeah. How did you come into politics?
Oh, politics. Okay.
The same way, the same exact way. Here's how. For me, I was already looking into. Well, okay, I had already become an atheist at that point. And so I was already starting to become aware of what was going on around me. I was thinking in a brand new way that I had never thought before. And I was asking questions I had never asked before. and I started to see a correlation between religion and politics. And so I started to kind of check out what was going on. Started reading newspapers, started watching, I guess, TYT, which was, I guess, good for what it was at the time, but now I don't think I should have picked that particular channel
Well,
to watch.
no. I think we all have to go through our TYT zone.
You went through the
TYT? Yeah, I went through it too.
Well, I came out of it about 4 months ago, and I was like, I even donated to their show. I was a very big proponent of TYT for a long time, but I started to see some things I didn't agree with. But before that happened, Bernie Sanders happened, and I mean, I was already paying attention in Obama's second term, but Bernie Sanders happened, and when I saw Bernie, it like lit a fire under my ass, and I wanted to get involved.
Well,
and I wanted to help him win.
my person was Ralph Nader.
See, I hadn't heard of Ralph yet. Bernie was my very first
I grew up
politician.
with Ralph Nader, and when the Clintons screwed him over, all he could do was walk away. I mean, because I was willing to vote for him. I mean, I was about your age.
How old do you think I am? Just out of curiosity. You say about my age. How old am I?
Well, I'm going to be cheating. You're about 32?
Yep, I'll be 32 on October 21st.
Because I was watching one of your shows.
Thank you.
So,
cool. So you do know how old I am.
Paying attention.
Nice. I'm glad somebody's paying attention. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
And Ralph Nader was mine, and it seemed like once he went away, everything just went to
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say that on here. We're all adults here.
I know, but I usually say it when I stub my toe.
See, that's the thing. Don't be afraid to curse, because sometimes those are the only fucking words that work.
Of course.
Don't be afraid of that. Yeah. So what else? What else do you guys want to know?
How did you end up in foster care?
My mom was a drug addict. And I was born with cocaine in my system. So that happened. That's how I got into foster care. She got me back, and then I went back, and then she got me back, and then I went back. It was a back and forth thing, but I was always in the Pentecostal church, and the family that I was with went to the same church. So I was always around her. It was, it's one of those things.
So, you live in Houston?
I do. Mm-hmm.
And
I hate it. So so
it's time for you to ask.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So how do you guys feel about where do you land on gun rights?
Where do I land on gun rights?
My latest video. I'm sure you guys both saw it, and you saw that I was very upset about it. Where do you land on it?
Well, I've shot guns before. I mean, because I was in the service. I grew up hunting with my brothers. Come from a family of 7.
All right.
But why do we need automatic weapons? Why can't we have common sense? Why don't we have gun safety classes? Why don't we make sure that people are being responsible with their guns? And why, oh why, are we selling guns to crazy people? Or
but we know why.
People are not mentally.
We know why. I mean, it's obvious.
Oh, I know.
I mean, the NRA lobbies
I'm
for
saying
that
all
constantly.
that, and I know exactly why. Because it is being used as a fear tactic to make people buy more guns when they find out that we're selling guns to mentally ill people. It's a capitalist roundabout.
Why do you think that people only talk about it when it happens in a mass shooting and people don't concern themselves with like the numbers that I was giving in my video? The daily murders, the daily gun violence.
Because the shock of having that many people killed at once is mind-boggling. And people have gotten used to, oh, one or two people. It doesn't shock them as much. They're just like, it's just sad that another person had to be murdered. But when you have a massive amount of people like that, there's no denying the truth.
Yeah. So do you think it's okay to talk about it after it happens?
Yes.
Because you see it everywhere. Don't politicize, don't use it as a talking point. And it's like, well, when are we supposed to?
I think it's perfectly fine to talk about it. Why are you thinking I'm going to get irrational about gun discussion and take your guns away?
I think that's.
I just want you to be
that's
responsible.
what most people think. Most people think that, especially if you're on the left side of that board, that you want to take people's guns away. And I think that there's a whole group of us, like you and I, and a lot of other people who we are for gun rights. We just want it to be
common sense.
Yeah, common sense gun rights. But you know what they say? Common sense is just not that fucking common.
No.
So.
No, it isn't.
So
what do you feel about it, Joe?
Yeah, how about you?
Well, where are the studies saying guns save lives? I don't like guys walking around with guns. I don't mind women. I have double standards, a lot of double standards. But however women want to protect themselves, whatever's best for them from rapes and stuff. But I don't think most people should be walking around with guns. I don't having a shotgun to protect your house and things are all good, but the gun laws were a lot more tighter when I was growing up. They started loosening in the 90s. People are just getting more and more scared. I think people are getting more and more scared of strangers. We're teaching our kids to be afraid, and I think adults have talked themselves into being afraid. And I just see people getting more and more scared, and the laws getting looser and looser.
I was learning. Oh, go ahead.
I think 9/11 had a lot to do with that.
Absolutely. Everything.
The whole psychic of America was just tortured.
Yeah, on 9/11, everything about American life changed. And we gave up our liberty and our freedom for safety. So we deserve neither. We gave that up. And now look at the state that we're in. Our internet's being threatened. We can't get clean water to a lot of the places in our country. We have a massive crime wave happening. Like, this is just getting out of control. People are broke. People are sick. People are hungry. And this is getting to be bullshit. So what do you think we can do to help solve it? Because I say vote. I say learn your local politicians and be a part of it. Know who you're dealing with.
Take a step. I mean, because, as much as they're pushing it back against us and say, oh, you can't do anything. You can't do this. You can't do that. No, you're not going to tell me that. I'm going to do the best I can for my family, for my community. Even if I don't change it before I die, I'm still going to do it because nobody's going to tell me no.
When somebody says to you that they feel like they have the right to do something, or like the right to own a weapon, the right to free health care, the right to anything really, do you think that's true? Do you think that people have rights? And in your mind, what is a right to you when you hear that?
You have the right to breathe. You have the right to see.
Those aren't rights though. Those are just things you're capable of doing. It's not a right.
Yeah,
it's not something bestowed upon you.
But see,
you're born capable of breathing and capable of seeing.
Yeah, and that's exactly our rights are what we give ourselves. Our rights. I believe in. I don't believe in free health care. I believe in single payer because single payer, you're still paying money. even through taxes or whatever.
You can believe in it, but do you think people have the right to it? And what is a right? That's the question, because I've been hearing this a lot lately, and I've been thinking about this for about a week and a half now, maybe 2 weeks. And
Can you tell
I
us?
can't define, I don't think there are rights. I think that there are privileges. I think that if it can be taken from you, if you cannot keep it yourself independently of what anyone else can do to you, then it is not a right. So
I agree.
it's a privilege. Everything that we've got are privileges, and they can be taken from us at any given time, so they cannot be called rights. We have no natural rights, and we have no actual rights. That word, to me, is meaningless. So when I hear someone say they have the right to something, I think to myself, there are no rights.
Yeah, it's kind of like someone telling you have a right to a job, but it doesn't mean you're going to get a job.
Therefore, just by that statement,
Yeah.
then it shows you don't have the right to it. Because if you had the right to it, then you would just have it.
Yeah.
So to me, when I hear people talk about rights and what should belong to them and what they deserve, I think to myself, that does not exist. Everything we're given is a privilege.
So we should just be talking about humanity then, not rights.
Yeah, like it should be that way, but it's not that way. Therefore, it is not a right.
Well, that's kind of a new thing. They didn't talk like that when I was young.
I know. I mean, I just started thinking about this last couple weeks. Is what does that word even mean? Who decides what rights are? What are they based on? Because people have different definitions of that as well.
But I think it's criminal that they make you buy insurance. And they're making young people subsidize people my age. I don't think insurance companies know young people have to come and buy from them, and I just think it's a racket that they force young people to go buy insurance from insurance companies to subsidize the rest of society. I don't like the ACA for that reason. And they talk about they're covering a lot more people. Well, they're forcing those people to get coverage. So
yeah, they're funneling money into the pockets of the 1% over in many different ways. Yeah.
I'm always whatever's the best interest of kids is what I'm always for.
And then they don't cover a lot of things. Like I have an insurance company that is one of the bigger insurance companies. I pay I think like $800 a month for insurance altogether, and I still have to call them and get them to pay my like doctor's bills and stuff that they're supposed to cover. So they make it a hassle to even have insurance. And yes, you're forced to have insurance now, and they make it super expensive, and then they barely cover anything. Like I'm sure everybody here knows vision and dental care is bullshit. Like there's hardly any coverage when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, insurance is a huge problem in our country.
Because they're for profit. They're not.
They are for profit, yeah.
Yeah. So they're not going to cover anything without you arguing with them every single day.
You know, we're talking about filthy, filthy socialism right now. That dirty, dirty word.
Oh, I know.
We're not talking about limiting people how much they want to make, how much they can make.
That's communism.
We're talking about humanity.
Yeah, but that's communism. Socialism and communism are very different things. So you cannot link the two together because they're not the same. You know, socialism is a way of treating your people and getting everyone, like a good example of socialism would be Egypt. Egypt took care of its people. Everybody, you know, they got basically the same things, but they had health care. So when they were injured, I mean, they found evidence of healed bones on mummies and things like that. And these were just regular workers. You know, they know that they would all build the houses, and then they would all build the reservoirs, and they would all build the city, and they would all get to live in the city, and they would all benefit from that. That is basically socialism. And democratic socialism, you know, is just a little bit different from that.
Well, so, don't we already have socialism?
We have a lot of socialist programs in our country that people like to forget about. Anything that you see that the government is providing that is a government job or anything like that, public schools, getting on a bus, water, trash pickup, all of this stuff, snow plowing, all of that is under, that falls under socialism.
Right.
Anything. So people don't realize that, though. They don't realize how much socialism is already in our society. And
because if our roads were built through the capitalist part, they would make sure that they were earning money off of you on the roads.
yep, but they do that. They do that with the highways. Think about tolls. You know,
Well,
and then like they built our highways, I think 15 years ago, and they said they were only going to have the tolls on the highways long enough to pay for the highways, right? Well, they're still there. They paid for the highways within the first year that they had those tolls, and they're still there because
There.
there's now someone making money off of that, which would be our state because it goes into our taxes. But our tax money is then put to use for things that we don't necessarily get to vote on.
Like wars?
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, and our infrastructure is falling apart because of that, because the tax money that's supposed to be going into our infrastructure and our education system and our healthcare system, all of that is getting spent on going overseas and killing people. So, random people too. Like, I know that people like to say, well, we're going after the terrorists and we're going after ISIS. And it's like, no, we're not. We're not really that much. We are in some areas and we're not in other areas. You know, we're on both sides of the fence here. We just are in the weapons business. I think George Carlin said it best when we said we're an oil company with a
We are
military.
making wars a profitable business.
Mm-hmm. We've been making wars a profitable business for
I know.
a long time.
I know.
That's true,
World
but
War II was the start of that.
just recently it's fashionable. It was never popular until Obama and Hillary. George Bush suffered from war, but somehow Obama and Hillary made it fashionable, like the in thing to be for, not to question it. So it's kind of new. It's new now.
Obama and Hillary didn't make it fashionable. Two planes crashing into our Twin Towers made it fashionable.
Well, no, but George Bush lost popularity because of how bad the Iraq War went.
Well,
But-
yeah, he did.
But it didn't seem
But
like
that's
Obama and
when-
Hillary got any
That's what started it all.
bad press from it.
That's what started the whole thing. That's what started all of this.
And now if somebody's for peace, they're an outcast like Tulsi or somebody like that.
5 more years in Afghanistan and they get a gold watch. That's where
Oh,
we're
yeah.
at with
We've
that.
been
And it's
there
one
for
of the,
16 years.
that's what I'm saying. And for to what avail? What's the purpose? What are we doing there? I mean, some of these places people don't even think about the strategic placement of them, of where they are. Like North Korea is an incredibly strategic place to have bases, or Korea in general. I mean, yeah, so is Afghanistan. It's an incredibly strategic place. And there's poppy there, and there's oil there,
I can get it up to 30 feet.
and there's minerals there. So I don't buy into this whole we got to go fight terrorism bullshit. We're creating it, most definitely. In some areas, in other areas, we're not. It's like I said, we're on both sides of the fence. I mean, I could find cases to dispute what I'm saying, and I could find cases to back up what I'm saying, and that's how we're on both sides of the fence. And it's ripping our economy apart, and it's costing us. And that's the biggest problem, is it's costing all of us the things that we need.
Afghan is called the empire killer.
Is it?
Yeah. Because look what it did to England. Look what did it to Russia.
Yep.
And there have been many empires that have gone in there and have never been able to tame it.
They're not trying to end anything.
No.
They're perpetuating it for the military-industrial complex. I mean, I could be totally off base on this, and I could study something that I don't even know about, and then next month come on and be totally wrong. But I really, everything that I know,
you can just shift click on me.
Everything I know right now, I'm pretty sure of.
Yeah.
But I might change my mind. If anybody thinks that they've got something that I don't know about, send it to me. I'll watch it. I'll read it. I'll make a fair assessment of it. I'm all about the facts. As I know it, these are the facts. So if anybody thinks differently, just let me know and I'll check out what you got.
Well, to me, Iraq was an illegal war.
Well, to everyone, Iraq was an
Yeah,
illegal
the
war.
legal war.
I mean, everybody. I mean, the Bush administration has admitted that at this point. It was an illegal war. We all know it was an illegal war. Nobody does anything about it. We just continue to support the wars we're still going into now with the assumption that these wars are not illegal and there's nothing wrong with them and that they're needed.
So are our soldiers fighting for our country, or are they fighting for the corporations?
Well, the soldiers themselves are fighting for the government.
Right.
You know, it's the question is who does the government? Why are they so intent on this happening? Why do they want it so badly? That's the real question. So then you start to follow your
Those are
money.
just
Well,
the things I have.
where is a lot of their money coming from? Where are their donations coming from? What's putting them in power? And that goes back to getting money out of politics. But is that going to happen? I don't see how. They're not going to vote against their own interests. I mean,
And I'm embarrassed. That's like one of the issues because people are not paying enough attention to that. We're allowing this to happen. We're allowing our government to send our young people to die for their own pocketbooks. I'm very embarrassed. This is something that's new.
But you also have to realize that
Newer.
it is their choice.
Because we used to have a draft.
It's their choice to go and sign up.
They could. I know, but they couldn't get away with this when we had the draft. But now they can get away with it because it doesn't affect that many people. That's why I'm hoping the progressive.
Yeah.
It's just more than healthcare. Things that don't affect.
Well, it's definitely more than healthcare.
Well, it just seems like healthcare is taking most of the
major topic.
Yeah.
But there's, you know,
wars are going on and nobody's doing anything about it.
There's a lot of people doing something about it. You know, there's a big movement against these wars.
There is?
To say that no one's doing anything about it is just unfair.
It's just that you don't hear about it.
Right.
Well, that's what I mean.
To make a blanket statement like that, you got to be careful with that because you're going to defeat yourself with that. So.
Well,
yeah, I've been trying to edge my way back over. That's how
I don't see much major opposition. I guess I should say.
They're not being covered, but there is a lot of opposition.
It's not hurting. It's not hurting.
Did you see Bernie Sanders' crowds during the primaries? That's the opposition.
I didn't hear Bernie speak too much about. In fact, he went from talking about poor people to middle class. He kind of even gave up.
Forget Bernie Sanders. I'm talking about his crowds. You know, the people that made up his crowds. I have yet to find someone who supported Bernie Sanders and was also for all of these wars.
For all those what?
Also for all of these wars.
No, they're not for him, but they're not fighting.
Look,
but see, that's why
divided right now.
That's why we have to step up and we start speaking out.
That's why
we can't wait for somebody else to say it.
Yeah. We have to say it ourselves. We have to do it ourselves. We have to be the inspirers. We can't be the ones waiting to be inspired anymore. We have to step up and do it ourselves. This whole mentality of somebody else needing to take care of things for us, we need to stop thinking like that. If we want things to change, we need to get up ourselves and do it ourselves and not expect anybody to just hand us things. Because like I said before, we don't have a right to anything. So if we want something, we have to stand up, fight for it, and take it.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying in a violent way because
I know. You're not.
Let me be clear about this real quick before. I'm not saying doing that in a violent way. We have the ability to do that through amendments through our states. Our founding fathers wrote it into our Constitution so that we would never have to be violent again and we could change things through amendments. And that's how we need to change things. That's how it's going to change. The revolution, going out and killing people, killing cops, killing that, none of that's going to work. That's not the way. I just want to be very clear about that because I've been watching a lot of videos lately that have been inciting violence and I don't like it. It's not going to solve anything.
And each generation has to fight for their rights.
We need to be able to have open conversations without too many people getting offended. Until we can start talking about the problems, how are we ever going to fucking fix them? If we can't even acknowledge what problems we have and what problems we don't have. How are we ever going to fix any of them? We can't have conversations about this stuff.
No,
And it's
because
sad.
we're always afraid we're going to. I'm always afraid I'm going to offend my cousins or,
Exactly.
make them mad or,
Everybody gets offended way too easy.
Well, I'm still worried about how we get people to care. It doesn't seem people used to care about the poor. People used to
They're
care
either
about
going to
war.
care or they're not.
Huh?
Well, but they're either going to care or they're not going to care.
Well,
You can't
the
make
World War II generation passed all these social justice issues, and the baby boomers completely wiped them out. Someone mentioned that was the first TV generation. I don't know if that is why, but people who are old enough to remember the Great Depression and the major world wars, they were more sympathetic. They passed social justice. They didn't deregulate things like the baby boomers did. They didn't cut aid to the poor like the baby boomers did. They remember the Great Depression. They remember what caused it. They remember how hard it was to go through the Depression and the wars. But they used to care. I don't recognize this society anymore.
I think ultimately, though, when it boils down to is all of that's irrelevant at this point. All of it. We just got to focus on what's going on now. We can't think about what happened then. We have to focus on now. We have to deal with the problems as we're being faced with them now. They're unlike any problems we've had before. We need to treat them like that. I mean, that was a really sucky time. Those people went through some really rough shit, but that's not what we're going through now. What we're going through now is different from that. And people,
It's
they
rough for a
don't
lot of
want to,
people.
it is rough for a lot of people, but in different ways.
They've forgotten these
Not the
people.
same thing.
I guess my concern is with humanity. It seems to be we've been losing it.
Well, yeah, we've lost humanity. We've been losing humanity since the beginning of fuck humans. I mean, this is human nature we're dealing with. It's been a dog eat dog world from the beginning.
Yeah.
From the beginning of evolution, it's been a dog eat dog world.
But we're on a cusp. We either change and embrace what we need to do to go to the future, or I feel like we're just not going to make it.
Yeah, I mean,
if we don't change the chaos, the hate, and learn to embrace each other, because this world isn't getting bigger, it's getting smaller.
Yeah, what is it like? We need like 2 more Earth-sized planets right now to support all of the people we have right now on Earth.
We have to adapt.
Yeah.
It just, we have to adapt and change, or we're going to be left behind.
I go back to the church on this one because we're overpopulated because too many people don't think that they should be using birth control and shit like that. Like, we have way too many people on this planet for lack of birth control, because let's face it, people are gonna fuck. Whether you tell them it's wrong or right, they're going to, because that's what
human
we do.
nature.
Human nature. That's what's gonna happen. You take birth control and condoms out of that, what are you left with? Babies and diseases. Like, we've got way too many people on the planet. I could get into an hour-long conversation about how that is the religious sect's fault and all their teachings of how it's bad to use birth control. But yeah, I blame overpopulation mostly on lack of information on birth control and the ability to make a choice on whether or not you even want to have a kid. That would be essential to controlling population.
Pills or what are you talking about?
Any kind of birth control. Abortion is included in that. I am pro-choice, 100% pro-choice. I don't think it's anybody's business what goes on in my body besides me and my doctor. And I don't think anybody should be able to decide for me what I can do with my own body. That's no one else's choice but mine. And I don't want the government reaching its fucking Jesus blood-soaked hands into my pussy to try to, say, you can't do that. No, get away from me. Stay away. I'm not trying to, I don't think it's unreasonable to say I don't believe in your type of voodoo or religion or whatever you want to call it. So therefore, I am not going to follow the laws of your religion. whichever one it may be. Just like Christians don't walk around in burqas.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't force your laws. Like the great Christopher Hitchens says, don't make me play with your toys.
It's
So
not an easy issue for
that's
me.
what my point. Well, it's not an issue for you because you don't have a uterus.
No, I said not an easy issue.
Oh, I thought you said it wasn't an issue. Like, yeah, of course it's not for you.
Well,
You're a dude.
Well, see, I had a whole different experience from Bella. I mean, I support anybody for pro-choice, but my problem was I was pregnant 6 times, but only 3 of them made it.
Right.
So it's a whole different issue for me.
But is that
I
because
support your choice, but to me, I really had to work for my children, you know?
right, and that's your choice. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
and that's my choice.
that was what you wanted to do, and no one ever came along and told you you couldn't.
No.
You know, and that's what the religious bullshit baby dunkers are trying to do over and over again in a lot of different ways. They're trying to infiltrate into our laws. A lot of them are starting to, especially here in Texas. And like, man, they're really beating
I'm
up on
sorry you
women's
live in
rights here in
Texas.
Texas.
I
know.
really am.
I'm fucking sorry I live in Texas. God damn it. You know, I hate this.
no, I agree. 90% of them are fakes, and they just want to control women. I agree with that.
Yeah. I'm not going to be living here much longer, though, so.
I
We'll be
mean,
all good.
across the country, not just Texas. The people.
No, I know.
Okay.
I know. I'll be out of here and back to getting birth control in no time. Watch.
Well, I used to live in Missouri, if that helps.
Missouri.
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
That is the highest vaccinated state in the country, and it also has the highest sick, I want to say sick rating, but that's not the right way to put it. They're the most unhealthy state, and they also have the highest rate in infant mortality. That's what I know about Missouri.
But see, I haven't lived there in 30 years. So that's a whole different story
Yeah.
of how I left Missouri. And, well, married the man who brought me to Columbus, Ohio. And we both were in the Air Force. That's where we met. So I totally believe that we meet the people we need to meet at the time in our life, that we need them to be there. You know what I mean? So that we can continue our journey through life.
So
I know that
you think it's like predestined? Like it's already been planned, or like fate?
No. But
I'm interested in this. I want to hear about this. So you feel like?
Well, I was. Have you met a person after you've had a traumatic experience, and then they calm you, they get you through things, and then you grow as a person. And
yeah, I have met a person like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just feel that I would, because I had just been through one bad marriage, and I was on the point of like, I don't want to marry again. I don't want to meet anybody. But you can't fight it. It just happens. So
yeah, I totally get that.
You know, so even though,
what would you call that? Like, what do you think that is? Because I'm trying to put my finger on that.
Well,
now.
I'm trying to put my finger on it too. I don't know how to say it, because to say it's predestined.
It seems too easy if it's predestined.
Yeah, it wasn't, because either you could have took the wrong turn, or you could have met somebody else, and then you would have never met them. you would have never continued on a journey to come to Columbus, Ohio.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's always, what if I turned the wrong way, or what if I, you know, talked to somebody different or made a different decision? What would have happened? You know, it's just, I was lucky that I met my husband at that time. And I'm not sure if I believe in predestination. It just,
See, I don't either, but I get what you're
just
saying.
there's a word for it.
I can't think of it either. I know exactly what you're saying, though.
Well,
really
because we each have a journey in life, and we have to meet those people to make the journey for us to grow as a person. I don't think I'm saying it right.
No, I mean, it's hard to say, though. That's the thing. It's like, it's almost like there's no words to really capture what's going on.
Yeah.
Or how it makes you feel. How long have you been with your husband?
Oh.
After you felt this way, after that, how long? And has the feeling lasted?
36 years.
36 years. And would you say that you still feel the same now as you felt then?
Oh, most
that never
definitely
went away for you?
Oh, yeah. It always goes away. You fight.
How long did you know him before you knew? Honestly, before you knew inside you, not when you said it, not when you told him, but before you knew inside your head, that was it.
I'm going to say something. I knew him for about 6 months before he asked me to marry him.
So you guys knew each other for 6 months before he asked you to marry him? Okay. When did you know?
But then, after he asked me to marry him, it took us another 6 months to get everything done to get married in Italy.
When did you know, though, that you loved him?
When did I know?
Yeah, like, when did you know? Before he asked you, before all of that. Like, when, how quickly after you met him did you know?
I kind of knew from that look that he gave me whenever he was trying to flirt with me. I just knew it.
Did you say it was your first date, your second date, 5 dates in?
Probably my third.
Your third date?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it. But just because you know it, and you get married, you have to work really hard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the same. I've heard that from so many like elderly couples who have been married for like 50, 60 years. They never stop trying to make each other happy.
Yeah.
They always try to make each other happy. And then those are the ones that last the longest. And I think that is just hopelessly romantic. And I hope one day to be able to look back and say myself that was my love story.
And that doesn't happen for everybody, you know. But
it doesn't.
I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't.
Isn't that when it happens, though, when you're not looking for it?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. But
okay, I'm sorry. I just kind of
we forgot JoJo. Get JoJo.
Sorry, Joe. Sorry, I just kind of went off on a little bit. I mean, I'm very interested in that in hearing about that thing because
No, it just I get that little smile inside when you ask me that question.
I know. Isn't it a fun one?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But it just, I don't know. I just felt like it was meant to be. And that's so cliche as the saying
it's
goes.
not cliche. Well, it is, but it fits. So say it. Whatever. Who gives a crap?
Screw it. I mean, if it wasn't meant to be, why did I meet him?
I don't know about, I think that meeting someone is a complete coincidence. I think what's important is what happens directly after you meet them.
Yeah.
That's the key, because we meet people all the time. To say that it was meant to be to meet a specific person, I don't know about that, but because I don't believe in predestined things, but I believe that it's possible to meet someone that really completes you, that is your other half.
Yeah, he picks up with me. I'm the crazy one.
We're all crazy. We're the women. Come on. Let's just be honest now. We're women. We're crazy. We're always going to be crazy. But we have pussies, so they like us still.
That's not going to change.
Exactly.
Not
All right, we
gonna
got about 10 more minutes, guys. What
Okay.
else? Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Can you tell us about how old you were when you got married? Did you say your parents married you off?
I was 16 when they married me off.
How did they do that?
They took me to Chicago, and I got married in a courthouse in Chicago.
Did you know him?
I knew him for 3 weeks before I got married. But I knew him, but I didn't spend a whole heck of a lot of time with him. He was brand new. He was 19 and I was 16, and he had just came to the church. And, just one night they came to me and they told me that God had spoken to them and told them that I was to be his wife. And
Did you
so,
like him at all?
no, I did not like him.
At all?
He was not I'm sure I coped because I didn't think I was going to be able to get out of it. So, I found things that I could say, yeah, okay, I like that part of him, but there was never any love or deep connection or anything like that. The worst part of my days most of the time back then was him coming home from work. So, yeah, I couldn't wait to get out of that. I waited until I was 17 to get out of that.
You were married for only 1 year?
Yeah. I wasn't okay with what was going on. Like, even though I had been raised in it and I had seen other girls go through it and they were still married and they would never leave, I could not bring myself to do it. Just, I didn't want to be around him. I hated him for a lot.
Yeah.
So now you're with him, or is it somebody else?
No, I'm not with him. No. I haven't been with him since I was 17.
So you got married to somebody else then?
Eventually, yeah.
You've been married twice, right?
Yeah. How are you looking me up on the computer? How do you know that?
You have 2 kids.
Oh yeah, but not with him.
10 and
Not
6.
Yeah, not with him.
Okay.
No. I was married again for 2 years, and then the only reason I got married the second time again goes back to religion. This is the stupidest story. I feel stupid now saying it, but I was sitting at a stoplight and I realized that I was living with my boyfriend and I was in sin, and that if I were to die right then and there, I would go to hell. And so that very moment, I went home and I said, either we get married or I'm out, because I'm not going to go to hell for this. And I got married, and it was the stupidest thing I ever did. And there was no reason for that. I should not have done that, but I just felt so goddamn guilty that I was disappointing God, my sky daddy, that I pressured myself into it. And so, I never would have done that had it not been for that guilt. So technically, if I had never been religious, I never would have gotten married. I am recently open to the idea of doing it again. I was very closed off to it for a long time, a lot of years, because of what I went through being married. And, they weren't nice guys. They cheated on me all the time. And, did other things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it wasn't pretty for me. I've never had a wedding.
Well,
You make a beautiful bride.
Just
Thank
make
you.
sure you walk into it with your eyes open and give yourself a wedding. Even if it's something to have memories about,
Yeah, but then there's I don't know. There's a lot of planning that goes into that, and then you got to wear a dress.
Wear the dress you want. Weddings are not about fancy dresses. They're really not.
I'll make you one.
I always kind of imagined if I ever did again, it would be like, I don't know, just a few people, good food, maybe like a really cool like beach or something simple, nothing
Yeah.
extravagant or big.
Yeah. I always told my daughter when she got married I'd have a kegger out back.
The kegger out bag. See, that's nothing wrong with that.
You know, and just honest food.
All
But
right. Anything else you guys want to know? 5 minutes left.
5 minutes. Come on, JoJo, say something.
Yeah, you had all these
You learn
questions
about
for
Bella.
me. What else do you want to know though?
Well, you told me a lot. I think the world of you.
Well, thank you.
Very smart, very quick.
I'm getting there.
You got a
I
lot
will
of
be
experience.
smarter.
So I never like. I may not agree with you, but I never say you're wrong because maybe she is right because she's got a lot more experience and she's very smart. But this
The only thing
conservative
I can
side of me,
say,
still, I struggle with my conservatism.
here's what I can say about that. I appreciate that you think that I'm smart and all of that, but my best advice that I can ever give you or anyone is go look for yourself.
Oh, I'm done.
You know, go look for yourself. Like, just go find that information for yourself. Because I'm still learning too. There are people way smarter than me. You guys have seen Godless. He is fucking brilliant, and he can talk
Question
circles around him.
everything.
Yeah, just
Question everything.
question the motives. Why are they telling you this and not this? Somebody I'd like to recommend to everybody to go out and check out his channel would be Atheism is Unstoppable, and it's a really, really funny yet brilliant person. He'll shed a lot of light on stuff for you, make you
I'm
think
not looking
twice.
for anything, fella. I like to hear people from you, things like that, but I'm not looking for anything. I'm pretty much happy with where I am.
Okay.
I'm
Well, for everybody watching, we got 7 people watching.
Yay.
well. I like to see young people do well. That's all.
Well, I'm
I
still on.
appreciate the support, guys. I really do. Like, I was so excited. You have no idea. Like, I jumped up and down in my room. I was like so giddy. I was like, oh my gosh, I have Patreon. It was like, it made me feel like, okay, I can actually do this. I can get out there. Now I'm a little nervous on camera sometimes, and sometimes like, yeah, sometimes I don't think I make the points that I'm trying to make, but I'm getting
You do.
better. And you guys like supporting me and helping me do that I'm only going to get better from here. And I'm always going to try to tell you guys the truth, however I see it.
And that's all
Whatever
I
truth is.
ask.
I mean,
Whatever truth is.
subjective. Yeah, truth is subjective, but I'm going to try my hardest to give you truth.
But I'm glad to support progressive, shows because they're not getting out on.
I would say be careful of what you consider progressive, though, because I'm starting to realize a lot of the shows I thought were progressive are actually regressive. And so it's hard to find good progressive outlets.
It is. It is. I don't make a decision until I, really research it.
Well, on that note, you heard the lady. She doesn't make a decision until she researches it. That is all the time we're going to record for today. I'm going to be having these guys on here once a month. Everybody tune in to see what we're going to talk about next. And thank you for joining us on the Ripple Effects. God favorite atheist here. See you later and namaste.
Thank you, Bella. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Bella.